Today's show is sponsored by our friends at OrcaCoolers.com. And what better way to start off 2023 with getting an Orca barrel, getting the Traveler, getting the Chaser Teeny, getting the Camper, or going ahead and getting something like an awesome roto-molded cooler that will keep your ice good for days. Go to orcacoolers.com/bourbon. Check it out. They also still have some stuff on clearance at their year-end clearance, so go check that out as well. You can get some great deals right now at orcacoolers.com. What you got for me, Zeke?
Well, people always think this is a question, but it's a statement. How about them dogs?
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. This will be the second episode coming out in 2023. I am going to get a different one out tomorrow. Just want to say thank you for letting us take an extended holiday break. We normally don't do that. This year has been a little crazy, so we took a break. We're back. Zeke, it's good to see you. Your dogs won the national championship last night with the biggest rout in College Bowl history, so you must be on cloud 9 today.
Man, to say it was a good game, I don't know if that's the right terminology. I mean, hell, it wasn't even a game, but man, I guess it kept going. At some point, we had a few folks over at the house, and somebody Googles like, well, what's the the biggest blowout or the highest score in the BCS? So we looked that up and kind of knew where that was, and we knew we'd eclipse that. And then late night after the game, Sports Center's going through all the different stats and I guess accolades and everything from the game. And one of the shots they threw up was literally in over 1,500 bowl games since the history of bowl games. That's the biggest blowout ever. I'm like, man, I think that record gonna stand for a while. And to be in the Natty, wow.
I liked when the Georgia players were eating wings on the sideline in the middle of the game.
Man, the clips today, obviously I didn't feel like working too much to begin with, but yeah, I saw that one. Did you hear the pregame speech Kirby gave everybody in the locker room?
No.
It's not PC. Anyone listening, look it up. If that doesn't inspire you to do great things, and I don't think anything will, don't play it around your kids yet. Well, depending on their age, hell, everything's in the circumstance. But listen to that thing. You played ball, I played ball. You hear that inside the locker room, I think you know why they came out the way they did. That's all I'll say.
I'll just say my favorite pregame speech. I'm going to make this PC. And so my coach, not the head coach, but one of the coaches went into the bathroom. He's in there for a while, so you know what he's doing. And he comes out and he goes, what I just left in that bowl, that's what I think about the other team. And then I mean, obviously, he said it with much more conviction. I'm not yelling at this time of night in my house. But all right, Zeke, that was your minute to gloat about Georgia football, because I did get comments about our football coverage and how it wasn't the best. And there were some YouTube comments where it was like blah, 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 football, blah, blah, some other stuff. So you're not allowed to really dissect football tonight.
Hell, I mean, it's pretty much over now in the NFL, and we don't always talk about that too much. College is way more enjoyable.
College is a lot more fun, but tonight we are drinking 2 experimental releases from Jack Daniel's Distillery Series, and it is a distillery-only release. It's in 2 finished ryes. So this is actually interesting, Zeke. There's a toasted maple barrel rye and then a toasted barrel. So there is a toasted maple barrel rye and a toasted barrel finished rye. So one was finished in maple barrels, one was finished in high toast oak barrels. Both of them are high toast. But the funny thing is, assistant distiller who's been on the show, Lexi Phillips, she chose the toasted barrel finish, so the oak one. And then her husband, Josh, who also works at the distillery, chose the maple one. So
what constitutes high toast?
I don't know. That's a good question. Let me keep going through the press release. So Chris Fletcher said in a prepared statement, we take pride in controlling every aspect of the whiskey making process, from cultivating our own yeast to crafting our own barrels. Having the Jack Daniel cooperage gives us an unmatched ability to experiment with specifications to see how different materials and techniques can impart new flavors and aromas. And he talked about that on the show before. These 2 barrel finished rye whiskeys are a result of that experimentation process, and we think they stand stand out as truly unique offerings that reflect the spirit of craft and innovation we have here at the distillery. So the Toasted Barrel Finish Rye that was selected by Lexi, it's a straight Tennessee rye whiskey originally barreled in the summer of 2014 and then re-barreled in high toast, no char oak barrels in October of 2019. Toasted Barrel Finished Rye is bottled at 101 proof, and then the Toasted Maple Barrel Rye was originally barreled in March 2017 and then finished in high toast, no char maple barrels. Toasted Maple Barrel Rye is bottled at 101 proof as well. Both of these are 375s that are $42 around Tennessee. But to answer your question, it's just they toast the shit out of it and then they don't char it at all.
We got original barrel entry dates, right? But not how long they set in the second barrel. Is that correct?
I think so, but let me check to see. I mean, the age is approximately 4 to 5 years. We don't know how long it's then in the secondary barrel.
Got you. But we're looking at 4 to 5 years total, not just counting like the original barrel.
Yeah, because if one was, well, so, I mean, here's the thing, right? It said originally barreled summer of 2014 and then re-barreled in high toast, no char oak barrels in October of 2019. It was 5 years in the barrel for the Toasted Barrel Finished Rye. So the oak, do we think it was 3 years in the, we don't know.
I think we just call them oak and maple for sake of keeping up with what's here. But you said the maple was distilled in 17 though, right? Not 14?
Yeah, so the maple is younger because the maple was in 17 and then it was moved to the maple barrels in September of 2021. I mean, maybe the oak was finished 2 to 3 years and then
I would say so.
And then the maple was finished for a year?
I didn't think that far. You said September of 2021.
Yeah, I mean, this was released in the fall.
Out, bottling it, getting it in the distro. I mean, that's 3 months at least, probably.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, think how long it takes we've picked there. How long it take the barrel pick to show up? I feel like this is about the same.
Yeah, but I would think with the maple barrel, the maple is a lot to...
Well, that was the first thing I thought of because, kind of throwing back to the JD 27 that was out a few years ago and back when Arnett was still there and talking to him about it and just saying how much of a pain those barrels were to navigate and manage because the maple was so much more porous. That was literally the first thing that, I wondered was, wow, they're still messing around with maple, huh? Because the impression we got was, this is a fun project, but I'd rather go walking through a briar patch before I want to deal with those things again. Remember they said they had to wax the entire barrel just to get a yield out of it.
Yeah, but that's why at company he's using the staves opposed to the whole maple barrel.
I get that. I'm just saying the fact that at least the impression then was, the powers that be at Jack were like, all right, this was fun, but yeah, let's not mess with that one anymore. So to see it come back around is kind of interesting.
Agreed, and to see it come back in rye is interesting as well. So anyways, what do you think about these?
So for the oak, right on the intake, I felt like the rye whiskey and the toasted barrel were almost, battling it out right on the front of the palate. You could definitely pick up strong influences from both, but it was just really kind of, left, right, back and forth, however you want to look at it. A good bit of char or I guess toast was quite prevalent from the barrel. Towards the back end, I really felt like it would be if you took a green Star Bright and probably 2 or 3 Red Hots and threw those in your mouth at the same time, like the back end, that would be spot on to be what I was really picking up. And, it is, like I said, only 101 proof, so not quite as high as, I would imagine it would be a barrel proof, but either way, for a rye, I felt like the heat component that was there was significantly from the toasted barrel and not a grain or a whiskey type of heat, so to speak.
I would agree with that. And I think, boiling it down at the end of the day, there are some differences between them. But, the bottom line is the maple is sweet and the oak is spicy. And that's where I kind of put these, like the oak, for me, the toasted oak opposed to the toasted maple, I was able to get more spice on that toasted oak, where I feel like the maple barrels kind of, like there was some rye spice that was in there in the maple, but it was very much muted because the sweetness of the maple took over. You're right. I mean, the toasting is supposed to mellow it out, but I think that the toasted oak, it definitely, like, there was a fight going on between the spice of the rye and the toast, like actually trying to mellow it out. I think that, the funny thing too that I got is I almost think the toasted oak had a little bit of chocolate notes to it as well, where the toasted maple had more vanilla. So, I mean, it was almost like your two basic ice cream flavors in here as well, along with that sweetness and the spiciness. And, I know you tend to focus more on char and things like that. I'm not getting a whole lot of char and I'm not really noticing that. It's like I just noticed the spice really tries to come out on that toasted oak, and the sweetness really mutes the spice of the rye, like where you get some of the rye notes that you would expect for a rye, and you're like, all right, where's the tingle? It's not here.
Well, that's what I tried to, discern as I went back through them, even on both products, was, rye, Kentucky Hug. What do people think of with a rye whiskey? At first, that there are elements that are there that I think, knowing you're drinking a rye, that's what the mind would say. But that's one of the more, like, when I went through it 2 or 3 more times, it seemed more like, this isn't the grain. I don't feel it going down. I don't feel like heat or hot from it being a cask strength product or like alcohol vapor. So, all right, what's causing this, sensation that's going on, especially toward the mid and back of the palate, at least to me, is really why I kind of had, take a step back and think, all right, well, maybe high toast is damn near charred. I mean, who knows what high toast means? But like you said, most things would say toasted, and folks try to get a mellowing out of it, similar to charcoal filtering. It's kind of how I always thought they were akin to each other. But with it being high toast, you've seen the fire when they burn all the pallets out there. I mean, who knows how hot high toast is? But I wonder if it kind of I wouldn't say backfired, but it's hard to gauge the wood. You don't really. It's not like you can look at a stave and say, oh, you know what, that went 2 millimeters too far into the grains. We heated it too much or something, But it definitely, to me, just felt like the heat components that I was getting seemed much more to be barrel influenced than, rye grain.
I would agree with that completely.
The maple, though, I mean, I definitely thought it was on the maple, though. I definitely thought, like, front end, it was super creamy, sweet mints, somewhere between like an Andes candy or Girl Scout Thin Mint or a York Peppermint Patty, anywhere in there. But then I thought the backside, it almost flipped for me. And it was kind of more char over rye, and it kind of kicked in the mid. But I think with the maple, for sure, that, something I thought of was like, I wonder where this would be as it got proofed down, because it was so creamy and had those sweet components in the front. You got to wonder, like, how many different proofs did they maybe try it at? Because at least you always feel like empirically there's some balance between proof and flavors, to where, all right, I know the nuances I don't want, and I know the ringers I do, and like, where's the middle ground where we can all be happy?
And, the 27 wasn't a super high proof whiskey. So it makes you wonder, like, this is kind of a new era for Jack, where they actually leave some of these LTOs at a proof where, like, the other whiskey drinkers are ready to go get them, where most people are looking at, Jack is 80 and you don't see too much deviation. And, even the regular single barrel is proof down to 94, and JDPP it's almost like there's an extreme, right? And this is the first one you see this year, bonded, triple mash. And now they're kind of throwing some out there that are neutral at about 100. And it's good to see.
To the eye and the marketing, you got to wonder, considering they're both at 101, they both just randomly happen to taste the best at that same funny little number.
Well, I think it's putting husband and wife at each other at 101 proof. Let's make the conditions the same. So I'm sure they had to have a little fun out of it and say, all right, well, which one do the people like?
That's fair. Hey, if that's the way they went, I can get behind that and see how that happened. But, certainly with being 2 or 3 years older, different finishes, to me, it's just kind of funny. They both got rolled out at the exact same 101.
I would say that, but at the end of the day, right, it is a competition probably between a husband and a wife. So which one did you like more?
I think I'm going oak. It was just more, I'm even reading my notes now. They're kind of back and forth. The oak I thought was better in the mid to the back. The maple was better in the front. I mean, hell, if I had an extra glass here with me, I'd pour these things 50-50. Now then we're going to start cooking.
Yeah. But I think I was for the maple a little bit more, which I just like the sweetness of it. And I like that it didn't have Like I thought it was kind of interesting. It's almost like a cocktail in a bottle in the sense where you have the rye taste, but you don't have that rye spice. So it's like what happens when you put a rye in a good like old fashioned Manhattan, things like that. You're getting those rye notes that you want, but you're not getting the tingle in your mouth and it's not hitting you so big.
I mean, I feel like you always remember what the last thing was. So in that vein, I'll go oak because it seemed a little more scattered on the front, but the back I definitely liked. Whereas the maple, the front really reeled me in, but in the back kind of, I don't know about all this now.
At the end of the day, I'm going to get on my soapbox again and say I applaud Jack for doing different things and not just doing the same stuff. It's like for so long, Jack was just Jack. And I feel like there's this like 3-4 year stretch now where they're really showing everything they can do. And it's crazy awesome to see. Keep it up. We love everything you're doing down in Lynchburg. We can't wait to go pick another Jack Daniels barrel proof with you. Love y'all. We love what Jack is doing. I don't know. I mean, I know I speak for Zeke too. He's just going to say ditto.
I mean, I think I was on the JDBP train pretty soon or pretty early.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Jack, for sending us these to sample. We really appreciate it. You can go ahead and find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Music City, US of A.
Cheers.
Ciao.